Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole. Shout out to all the yellow pills tuning in. You are always appreciated. I see there is a lot of excitement and even more speculation about The Matrix 4 buzzing all around the internet. I'll put a link to the article about cinematographer John Toll officially announced as being added to the crew in the description box. Toll has already worked on Cloud Atlas, Jupiter Ascending, and Sense8, so clearly John Toll has repeat collaboration status. Other than that though, there isn't really any other confirmed official news updates out there, just a lot of recycled speculation and a sudden spike in Matrix Online references. So today, we are going to stay true to form and discuss the original Red Pill Rage. This is another Twitter-inspired Matrix topic, so salute to all the Matrixologists. And if this is your first time down here, please subscribe and like the video so you don't miss out on any future yellow-pilled content. So what does the red pill really mean in the Matrix universe? Let's start with Neo's red pill experience in the first Matrix film. The red pill is part of a trace program given to Neo inside the Matrix that disrupts the individual's carrier signal so that Morpheus and the crew from Zion can find the location of the pod in the real world. Morpheus actually tells Neo that the Matrix is a prison system before Neo even takes the red pill. But that truth has no meaning or value to Neo because he has not seen the evidence yet for himself. Understanding and accepting the truth is a choice that each individual has to make for themselves, and Neo tries to deny the truth immediately. Let's break the side effects of the red pill progression down into 3 stages. Truth to denial, anger to depression, and acceptance to solution. Morpheus tells Neo the truth, and Neo takes the red pill, but then the world around him begins to dissolve, only to wake up to the horror that is the true reality. Neo wakes up to the nightmare of the real world. Neo wakes up to the reality that people are not connected to the truth, that almost everyone is connected to the virtual fantasy of the Matrix for as far as the eye can see. Neo learns that the Matrix is mind control to keep people in an unconscious state so that they accept the programmed version of reality. Morpheus tells Neo the truth after Neo has seen the pods with his own eyes. Neo, of course, still tries to reject this horrible reality, and this is where the inability to escape the truth triggers denial and goes into full red pill rage mode. Like the architect says,
denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
The predictability of the denial stage is the real reason why Morpheus doesn't waste time arguing or trying to explain what the real world truly is to Neo while they are both inside the Matrix. Morpheus knew Neo would have a red pill rage fit. It is natural and statistically the most likely reaction to such perspective-altering information. People default to this reaction almost instinctively. In this case, Neo can't sneak back into a pod, he can't stick his head under a pillow and forget the truth. Neo has to deal with it. Neo does not have the luxury of being able to stay in a state of denial. Anger followed by depression is a normal and natural response when faced with this hard reality. Neo spends most of the first movie coping with his depression, but what Neo does have is a strong and experienced support system to help him transition from the denial stage and straight through the anger and depression phases after learning the truth. Morpheus believes in Neo, Trinity loves him, and the Oracle has some very valuable inside information that she shares to help him along the way. The depression stage is why no one ever makes the first jump. Neo denies he is the one, doubts his abilities, and really struggles with this until Agent Smith kills him at the end of the first film. One simply will not have enough belief in themselves if they are moping around with their heads down, rejecting the truth or only saddened by it, without the will to rise above it. This is why the system wants to keep you afraid and angry or unfocused. If you are in a full-blown rage or state of depression, it makes it that much harder for you to utilize your true power. If you have to spend your time arguing and fighting about everything, you simply are not at your best. Neo's surrounded by people who want to lift him up. Surround yourself by positive people and flush the negative ciphers out of your life. The people you spend the most time with will have the most influence on your choices. Teamwork is a very important part of Neo's overall success and how he is able to swiftly transition into the acceptance phase, because Neo doesn't have to waste time on too much extra negativity from outside forces. And acceptance is often misinterpreted as being okay with everything or consenting to the madness. We don't have to like the reality, but eventually we can accept it, and then we can elevate ourselves within it. This is where the trilogy invites you to become Neo, to be one with the experience of the story.
Yeah, and transcendence of a material identity, that he is delimited in that moment, is more important to us than any kind of religious iconic things. But we're also trying to play with the meaning of the iconic symbols, because the third movie, like Cloud Atlas, asks you to participate in it. This is what we wanted to do with the trilogy, and it was the experiment from the beginning was, could you change the general way that audiences participate in a, let's say, an action movie, right? So you start off, and the first movie is the most typical movie, and we always said from the beginning, why don't people say what we thought immediately, which was, movies are matrices. Movies are things you go inside, and they are immersive, and you are cocooned by them, and they tell you what to see, what to think, what to feel. And then we thought, well, that's for us problematic. We thought that what we were trying to achieve with the story overall was a shift, the same kind of shift that happens for Neo, that Neo goes from being in this sort of cocooned and programmed world to having to participate in the construction of meaning to his life. And we're like, well, can the audience go through the three movies and experience something similar to what the main character experiences? So the first movie is sort of classical in its approach, and the second movie is deconstructionist, and it assaults all of the things that you thought to be true in the first movie, and so people get very upset, and they're like, stop attacking me, in the same way that people get upset with deconstructionist philosophy. I mean, Derrida and Foucault, these people upset us. And then the third movie is the most ambiguous, because it asks you to actually participate in the construction of meaning, which is what most religious, the essence, the elementary particle, requires you to participate in the construction of meaning. And so Cloud Atlas was attractive to us because it did something similar. You read the book, and there were connections that were only available if you lent yourself some, if you brought your agency to the book, and in a way that, David likes this concept of transmigration of souls, but really he's also interested in the secular exploration of consequence. And that was always, in our conscious, we talked about it a lot, this Jose Saramago line that we reference. The nature of our immortal lives is in the consequence of our words and deeds that go on apportioning themselves throughout all time. This is a really beautiful secular way of expressing karma or reincarnation, and that it's ambiguous, that it doesn't say your beliefs are false, or it doesn't say this atheist material thing is the only thing that exists. It has, like, when we wrote the Matrix Trilogy, we had above our wall this amazing Schopenhauer quote that was, the fundament upon all our knowledge and learning rests is the inexplicable. We're always interested, as storytellers, all three of us, in the nature of that inexplicability.
Before we can get to the solution, we have to be able to understand and accept the true reality. Most people don't want to even think about hard truth or breaking down and challenging their beliefs. Despite being born into a cocoon of lies, Neo is able to break through to finding the solution and achieve peace because he took ownership of this responsibility along the journey. Neo began to take accountability for his choices. And that's why I stress the importance of not only watching the trilogy for yourself, including the Animatrix, but why I also encourage you find your own meanings, because that is how the Matrix trilogy was designed. If you skip the Animatrix, you skip a major truth that is important to fully understanding the Matrix universe. It is designed to take you through the process of deconstruction and reconstruction. You have to participate for yourself in order to truly lend yourself to the process of introspection and self-reflection. One must do so at their own pace, their own way. There is no set formula to that part of the process, and it can be a challenge. One has to peel away the layers. Fortunately, there is more than one way to get to the core. So participate in the trilogy, and be sure to participate in your real everyday life. Acceptance can start with something as simple as appreciating the fact that you woke up today to share another day of this dream we are all sharing and calling reality. Part of the goal is to create a space where you can discuss your thoughts and know you are not alone post deconstruction of things like choice or belief. There are often a lot of questions, and Neo was able to reach enlightenment because he had a variety of guides made up of both people and programs willing to help him along his journey. There is a lot to unpack. The awakening is ongoing, but so easily people get lost in the limbos of denial, anger, and depression, which is why the red pill by itself does not equal a state of enlightenment. Getting stuck in the matrix of red pill rage can be its own prison. The real matrix outside the matrix is never escaping denialism, anger, or depression. Neo's love for Trinity specifically allowed him to transition away from the depression that followed the red pill rage. And love is a theme of the Matrix that is rarely talked about, but clearly defined as the tool that separated Neo from the other anomalies. And that is why it is no surprise to me that Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss were announced to be in the Matrix 4 together. The vehicle for Neo's transition is his specific love for Trinity. One must find their own vehicle to acceptance. Otherwise, you could find yourself carrying the anger or depression around like a weight on your soul, stuck in the propaganda loop and exhausted by the repetitions of the cycle. The Matrix was designed to be an exploration of consciousness. So when I broke down the Matrix universe and broke down my own beliefs, suddenly all propaganda looked like falling Japanese code on the screen. Exercise your critical thinking so that you can decipher these codes on your own. I believe that entertaining these conversations is a healthy exercise for consciousness and society. See the truth for yourself, but be sure to transition away from the anger, depression, and fear so that you can walk into the gold light and become new. The Neo you already has the solutions. Whenever you want to exit the Matrix, believe you can unplug from the system and just unplug yourself. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts here in the comment section. And remember, as one realizes that one is a dream figure in another person's dream, that is self-awareness.